Hey y'all, welcome back to the old dirty cold garage. And today I want to talk about the Kiss off the Soundboard San Antonio, December 3rd, 1985 release that was put out last week. I finally got a chance to listen to it. And as everybody knows, Kiss is my favorite band. They always have been. And I have not purchased any of these off the Soundboard recordings. I've listened to them all, but I haven't bought any of them yet. And we'll get into why a little bit later. But before we do that, remember, do the YouTube thing. Like and subscribe. Really helps me out. But anyway, let's talk about this off the Soundboard. December 3rd, 1985 from San Antonio. Now, Kiss has been doing these off the Soundboards for a little while now. And this is the first one that actually includes the Eric Carr and Bruce Kulick lineup. And I'm happy for that because the Eric Carr, Bruce Kulick lineup was the lineup when I was a kid. You know, that's the first lineup I ever saw live in 1988 on the Crazy Nights tour. And that was my lineup, you know, for the formative part of my year. So I've always got a soft spot for it. But this release, this is straight up 80s Kiss. You will get your 80s Kiss fix from this release. It's got all the too fast songs. The songs just played way too fast, and the energy and the cringy, awful Paul Stanley stories. And his overuse of the word fuck, which he later came out and said, you know, yeah, in those years, he thought that's what he was supposed to be doing, and he's even kind of embarrassed by it now, which he should be. He should be embarrassed by his intro to Love Gun, even though this time it's not the nurse. It's a school teacher that he talks about, so hey, that's a little bit different, I guess. Let's talk about the reason why I haven't bought any of these. And this one in particular is a little weirder, because I think in the past they have offered... like the vinyl releases by themselves. I think. But for this one, you have to buy it in $100 bundle with like a t-shirt. Come on now. Why is it not just made available separately? And you can get a CD, but you got to import it from Japan, and it's like I think it's like $27. And then another $27 shipping. That's just crazy. I don't understand why they can't just release it by itself. But that's one of the reasons. And plus, you know, I've heard these shows before. I mean, this one I don't think had been leaked before. So this, I think, is a new one. Which is cool that there's still shows that we haven't heard in the Kiss community. Because I had a lot of Kiss bootlegs. Either audio or video. When I was a kid, I did the whole trading thing. And where I got a bunch of them all the time. So I've always enjoyed listening to these. But as it's not anything I'm ever going to listen to probably again. And I hate to say that because, you know, I love that lineup of the band. But it's exactly what it says it is. It's off the Soundboard, so it's not going to sound like, you know, in a live album or anything. You hear it, warts and all, bad notes and all, missed vocals, because you got to remember this time, they're running around on stage all crazy. This was like Kiss on speed during this era. And it definitely comes across as you're listening to it. And of course, all four members have solos, right? This was a staple. I mean, this was always a staple of the Kiss show. But usually it was Gene, and then the drummer and the guitarist would have their solo. But here Paul has his solo too, which is completely unnecessary and just should have just been used to play another song. I mean, at the speed they played these songs, they probably could have stuck two songs into the spot where his solo was. So yeah, I've never been a big fan of Paul solos, and honestly, I'm not really a big fan of all of them. But this was the 80s, and this was what they were doing. It focuses a lot on the non-makeup era, obviously, because that's where we're at. But it's good to hear songs like Fits Like a Glove again. I've never really cared too much for the song, but it's cool to hear it. And then hear like Under the Gun and All Night, which I never really cared for that much either. But I enjoyed the set list as a snapshot in time. And speaking of a snapshot in time, it's cool to hear Paul talking towards the beginning of the show about the people protesting outside, right? Because this was in the whole Satanic Panic era, where all the bands were devil worshippers and stuff. So it's cool that, you know, that's documented here. I enjoy stuff like that. I really do. But getting back to the set list for a second, it's kind of a weird set list where, you know, they do the show, they end the main portion with Rock and Roll All Night, and then they come back out for the encores of Heaven's on Fire, which I understand because that was, their most recent big hit, I guess, because it came from '84's Animalize. And then they end the show with Lick It Up, which is just a weird song to end the show with. It's pretty anticlimactic. You got to end with Rock and Roll All Night or Black Diamond, but they weren't doing it at that point in time. But they do tack on the Black Diamond ending that they did on the Animalize Live Uncensored. They tack that onto the end of Rock and Roll All Night, which is kind of weird. I don't remember ever hearing it that way. And they got their version of Oh Susanna, but it's like a minute long and it's just kind of lame. I really, really, really wish they would have included the cover of The Who's Won't Get Fooled Again that they did on that tour, because they did a really cool version of that song where Paul, Gene, and Eric all took a verse and, sang it, and then they just, like the synthesizer, they did it with guitars, which was, they did a hell of a job with it. So it kind of sucks that that's not included on here, because that would have been a cool for an official release. But pretty much, I mean, I don't really have a whole hell of a lot to say. I hate that you got to buy it in the bundle. It's going to pretty much assure that I'm not going to buy it. You can definitely stream it. If you're interested in 80s Kiss, it's definitely a good snapshot in time. It's definitely that, which is what all of these off the soundboards are supposed to be. But it's not one that I'm probably ever going to listen to again. I think there were better. I think the Charlotte 1985 bootleg sounded better than this one. I don't know if that was a complete show or not. I don't remember right offhand. But I think it sounded better than this one. But this was one we'd never heard before, so that's kind of cool. So it's like, a give and take. But if I ever decide to listen to another soundboard from 1985, it's probably going to be the Charlotte one. So yeah, this is for the die-hard Kiss collectors, right? And pretty much nobody else. It's good to stream, but, you get exactly what it's billed as off the soundboard. So yeah, I would say stream it if you can, but don't worry about picking it up unless you're just a hardcore Kiss fan and a hardcore Kiss, not Kiss fan, but a hardcore Kiss collector, because those are two different things. So if you're a hardcore Kiss collector, definitely pick it up. If you're not, just stream it, listen to it, have a good time. I hate to say, but probably forget about it afterwards. Still glad that we got Bruce Kulick finally represented on one of these. He deserves it. He's been championing his era of the band, which he should, for decades now, and I'm glad to see him finally getting on one of these releases. I just wish it was actually made available without dropping $100 on a t-shirt. I think they just dropped the ball on the release of this with where you got to buy it in the bundle. It just doesn't make sense to me. But hey, I'm not in that. That's above my pay grade. So yeah. So that's my look at Kiss off the soundboard. Have you listened to it? What did you think about it? Do you enjoy that sped up, that Kiss on speed version of the 80s? Let me know. Because I do like that. I still like that version. Holds a really special place in my heart, because that's when I grew up. So yeah, let me know what you think about it. Till next time, stay fresh, cheese bags.